What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, you know, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. Welcome back to the A's for Alcoholic podcast, the only recovery podcast that two middle-aged guys meander and talk about video games, exercise,
and running. Yeah, like last week, they're just like, well, I don't hear any fucking recovery in here. It's just two guys talking about running and video games.
And the glitches they fixed on Fallout 76. Have they fixed all those?
No, that shit's fucked. I'm not playing that right now.
Oh,
I'm backing off it. I'm doing the whole BioShock series. I'm on the BioShock Infinite, which is the third in the game. But I'm doing all the DLCs and everything, too.
What's the one in the Sky Palace or the Sky City?
That's the last one, BioShock Infinite. That's the one I'm about 4 hours into now. But I just did BioShock 2 and the DLC for that and BioShock 1. Yeah.
I've been doing some research on there's the I don't remember what they're called exactly, but they're video games that are done with the live action, like they actually take video footage of people.
Right.
And so you play it like a movie.
I don't know what it's called either.
I don't know. But
are you talking about the games from the 90s that had
not
Hank Azaria in it or something? Yeah.
Yes. But there's some that have been made more recent. I haven't bought it yet, but I've been kind of curious about it. I've been kind of checking them out. But I haven't dived into it just yet. I haven't felt like I've had a lot of time for gaming lately.
No, I mean I haven't. Like all my friends get together, my video game crew, the dudes I play with, you know, in the evenings, and they play Friday the 13th. That's what we've been playing lately. But I haven't had a chance to play. As a matter of fact, I picked up my phone right now because somebody was texting, and they just sent a picture of Jason in a bikini, and they were like, "Who's down?" And I'm like, "Well, I got to do podcasts, and then Megan's gonna want to watch a movie tonight, so." And I gotta get up at 6 in the morning, so sorry, fellas.
No bikini Jason tonight.
No bikini Jason tonight, yeah. But that's
well,
all right, maybe tomorrow.
You know, I think speaking of video games in recovery, I mean, you've said it many times. What was the game that saved your life in early recovery?
Oh, Last of Us.
The Last of Us. So
yeah, Last of Us. And this game, BioShock Infinite, that I'm playing right now, I played in early recovery. And I'm going through it again, 5.5 years later.
Is it kind of like going through the steps again? Like you feel?
No,
not at all.
No, but I do have vivid memories, yeah, of sitting. I would push this easy chair right in front, directly in front of the TV. I'd sit 4 feet away from it in this giant overstuffed easy chair, my brother-in-law's, with 2 liters of Coke and fucking rock stars at 2 in the morning when I didn't have to get up at 6, you know, and play these games just by myself, yeah. But I'm having memories of that. You know,
I think anything that will kill the time when that's really all you're trying to do is kill time.
And it's different for everybody. You know, I don't know if I was I don't know if I was luckier in my recovery than other people were, in that I was kind of distant. You know, my wife and daughter were out of state in those early months, you know, and going through the withdrawal period and shit. They weren't around, you know, they had gone back to Arizona at that point, where I was just going through the hard shit in the beginning. I mean, it still fucking sucks now sometimes, but you know, that real early hard shit, you know.
Yeah.
You know, some other people got to get up and go to work and deal with their family and do their shit all day, and man, my hat's off to them, because that's a lot of work, you know. It takes a lot, yeah.
And deal with withdrawals.
Yeah. Fuck all that.
And changing your entire life.
Yeah. So I don't want to do it again.
Your personality, your way of looking at the world, and everything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about a taco van. It was not a truck, but you got.
It was a van. It was a taco van. So, yeah, it was. I don't know. So this hairdresser that works next door to the tattoo shop, she's got a really good friend who does this outreach for legalized immigrants that live in the United States, and she had some people from Mexico that are naturalized citizens now. I don't know if naturalized is the correct term, but they're citizens now. They're American citizens, and they wanted to open up a taco truck. And so they gave them funding for it, and she's like, "Go check it out. It's over the park blocks downtown." So I went down there, and it wasn't even like a roach coach, like a cart with a window.
Right.
The dude just opened the back doors of the van. He made me a bunch of tacos. We started speaking Spanish to each other, and he's like, "Where'd you learn Spanish?" And I was like, "Oh, I grew up on the border." And the taco truck was called the DF, the DF, the federal district. That's Mexico City. Washington, D.C. Well, in Mexico, it's the DF, And I was like, "Oh, the truck's called the DF," and I'm like, "Where are you from?" And he like points at the sign. He's like, "The DF," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that fucking makes sense."
He's from Mexico City.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the biggest city in the world or something like that? It's like huge.
No, I think Hong Kong is.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think it's one. I think it's like the second biggest.
So, and
I think it's Hong Kong, Mexico City, and then something else.
And for anybody listening in Mexico City or Hong Kong, I encourage you to write us and tell us about your experience, English speaking or otherwise. Hopefully English. I can't read. I can't read Spanish. I could probably send the email to Jerry and he could translate it. But or even in Chinese or Mandarin. I guess I could find a way to translate it. But
I guess the largest city in the world, John, is called Chongqing. Chongqing,
and that's in China.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I thought that Mexico City held some large place. I don't know. But speaking of our international audience, I did get an email from Ireland that I want to read to the class, if I could.
Go ahead.
It says, "Hi, Jerry and John. I love the show. I heard your shout out for your listeners to contact you on the last podcast, so I am writing to you as one of your faithful Irish listeners in Dublin." So that's pretty
cool. International. That's rad.
Mm-hmm. I'm not an alcoholic myself, but your show has helped me get my head around my sisters and others ongoing struggles with staying sober or problem drinking. She's in a lot better place than she has been, and is working now again and has her driver's license back, but will relapse at weekends. So I guess she drinks on the weekends, even though she's trying to get cleaned up. It's caused a lot of difficulty and sadness in our family. Your pod is a nice space I can quietly dwell in and get to understand the way people with alcoholism think and act. It helps to see when someone's making steps forward and how one's relationship with sobriety is always maturing with time. I'm on my own learning curve. I remember having discussions with her 7 years ago where I would say, "Why don't you just drink 6 days a week and take 1 day off?" I can now see the naivety of my thinking. Yeah. If I could ask ye a question about something that has been discussed on the show a few times, it would be to give an explanation of the dry drunk, quote unquote. From how you discussed it, I thought it meant someone in recovery but still behaving alcoholically. Could you describe this non-drinking alcoholic type behavior or thinking? When you are sober, do you have a dry drunk side of yourself you need to keep in check? Also, I have heard my sister refer to people who have never drank alcohol as dry drunks. Can this actually be possible? I like how ye also, and he writes ye also deal with getting older and your health and running. As a keen runner, I am loving following you get more into your running. Stick with it. It keeps getting better, and you keep improving and looking better. You will always make friends through it with time and achieve things you never thought you could. And have you ever regretted going out for a run afterwards? Thanks for sticking with the long email. Keep up the good work, and love the tunes on the show. I don't know what tunes do we play. Maybe he means the music. All the best. And his name is Diarmid, spelled Diarmud. It's a Gaelic name pronounced Diarmid. So, thank you, Diarmid.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm not even going to try that name because I'll just fuck it all up.
So, my understanding of the dry drunk is just not working any sort of program and just sort of white knuckling it, right? Like,
right.
Well, maybe
yes
you have. I think you have given a better explanation than I have in the past.
I think my concept of dry drunk has always been me relapsing into the behaviors that I exhibited most strongly during my active alcoholism. So there was a lot of conditionalism. I do this to get that. You know, I say this, so you say this back. You know, there's a lot of selfishness in my active alcoholism where like I can get this from you, and I still can exhibit those behaviors now in sobriety, because I think you can. Me personally, my opinion is like you don't have to necessarily work a program. I mean, you can still be sober and maybe in some type of recovery, but I would imagine recovery more kind of aligns with working some type of program. Do you know what I mean? But I think for me, dry drunk has always been those actions and behaviors I exhibited when I was drinking. I do them when I'm sober. You know, like
Right.
being irresponsible or fucking off on things, or you know what I mean? Like just kind of giving into those baser parts of myself that really want to be like gratified in the moment, you know, without thinking about any long term. And it's okay to gratify yourself in the moment every once in a while, but when I make that like my number one priority, when I Jerry Wagner am number one priority on my list, that's when I know I'm dry drunk in it. In my own personal opinion, yeah.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's this. You talk about working a program, and so there were so many other things that were a problem. It wasn't just, oh, I drink alcohol and I get crazy. You know, I was shirking every single bit of responsibility. There was no personal responsibility, or there was the absolute bare minimum: get to work to make the money to buy the booze and repeat. And so everything else was peripheral, and or I just ignored it. So I think that to me, that's a lot of that dry. And that's what I mean about like working a program is.
Oh yeah.
One of the ways I've heard it described is recovering the person you used to be before you started drinking. And for a lot of us, that was like a teenager. So we never even really fully developed as adults.
Right.
So,
I mean, but I was fucked up before I started drinking. So I'm like even recovering from that, because I don't want to be the person I was before I started drinking.
No.
I want to be just who you know what I mean? Like a better version of myself, I guess. Because I sucked when I was not drinking. Before I started drinking, I was like a sad little kid. Like, I don't want to be a sad old man. I want to be like a mildly tempered old man who has his moments of brief brilliance.
But it's true. It's true.
Yeah. But this is for me personally, and I don't mean to like just disagree with everything you're saying.
I just think that I need to recover those parts of me that I like. And there were some before I started drinking, but we're talking
right.
It's
and you're
16 or
talking about
17.
And these playful kind of introspective, this person that did things without worrying about being judged. You know what I mean? Just like your true self, who you truly are. I get that, absolutely. Yeah.
So when I don't, and I always feel, again, another phrase is irritable, restless, and discontent. And I don't often, I should say, but I will feel that way, and I will wonder what's wrong. And at least now, before, I would just drink, and just to make it go away. So I wasn't actually dealing with it. I was just covering it up. And now, when those feelings come up of any kind, whether it's just mild irritation or if I feel deep and heavy sadness, I start to think, where did this come from, and how can I help fix this, or how can I move through this in the best, fastest possible way, or what is this trying to tell me, you know? So that's what the recovery part of it is for me.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
And so when I ignore those, and the only thing I'm doing is going, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not changing. I'm not a drunk anymore, right? So
that's kind of dry drunk shit too, though, right? If you're just constantly obsessed with the idea that you're not going to drink today, you're just taking the idea of being obsessed with drinking and flipping it into I'm not going to drink. There's this like path of behaviors we take that are huge outside of drinking. You know, drinking just tends to be that catalyst, you know, that changes those behaviors and amplifies them. But, you know, I mean, once you get rid of the alcohol and you're physically over it, that's just one thing out of the way. There's so much more shit left to do, you know?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it's fucking life. There's always shit to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's never going to be not something to do in my life. Like there's always going to be something that needs to be attended to, whether it be physically or emotionally or around the house or
anything. So I think that's the best way I can describe it, is that you're not that I behave as a dry drunk when I am not actively working on being a better person. And not that it needs to be a chore, but but a choice that I because I reap the benefits of that. It's not like, oh, I have to be a better person because my wife wants me to be, or my boss wants me to be, or my kids want me to be, or whatever. It's that it just feels better. And it's hard to get there. And for somebody, when you say, why don't you just not drink one day a week, or, why don't you take some time off or just do it part-time? And I think that trying to understand the obsession of an alcoholic when you're not one, the closest, I think it's kind of like fucking potato chips or something. That's the closest analogy I can come to, where you're just like, I gotta have another, and I gotta have another, and I gotta have another. And you talk about calorie counting, and you say, I'm gonna count out 9 Doritos.
I do too. I count them out. I love them. Just give them kisses. I probably use that joke a billion times, but
so I would just, nobody. It's like the Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. And I think that's a pretty decent metaphor, because once you start drinking, you can't wait until you hit the fucking bottom, and then you're just covered in greasy crumbs. You know?
At least with the Pringles, you don't like projectile vomit and lose a shoe.
Yeah.
Fucking get into a fight with an Uber driver.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
It's a lot of Pringles.
But yeah, I do appreciate that the writer, saying that they understand the naivete of it now, being like, well, why don't you just take one night off? Because there's a compulsion there. It's just as compulsive as someone who has OCD. Do you know what I mean? And has to go through a series of rituals.
Yeah.
There's just a compulsion there. It's just happens to be centered around a substance that gets you all fucked up. So now you're doing this compulsive set of behaviors, and it all centers around that thing. So you're like, well, what? Yeah, exactly. And gotta have it, even to me, wasn't like a running monologue in my head. My alcoholism was like, this is just what we do. I mean, there was a gotta have it, but it wasn't like in a movie where I was like sweating and jonesing and being like, I gotta have it. I'm like, this is just what I do. And if I don't know what I can do with myself if I can't do this, I don't know what to do if I can't do this. That's the big thing. I remember not having enough money once in Tucson to get a bottle of whiskey and like having a fucking flat out panic attack. And I was like, this is a problem. And I still didn't quit drinking for another 4 or 5 years after that, or maybe it was 3 years. But, it was like this. This is just who I am and what I do, and this is just what I do now. This is just what I do, and I'm just going to keep doing this till it kills me. And I just keep, I just keep acting up while I'm doing it. So if I could just not get mad and not act up and not treat everybody bad, then I'm willing to pay for the hangover. And I'm willing to pay for, like, the money and shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
That idea that, I'm only hurting myself, so it doesn't matter.
Right. And I think I tend to focus on the bad parts all the time, where I'm like, yeah, I had all these conflicts and all this heavy depression and these suicidal thoughts. And it's the mundane aspect of it we tend not to look at very much. Where it's just this mundane, repetitious routine that is just what you are. It's not even who. It's what. What am I? This is what I am.
Mm-hmm. Which was not much for me near the end.
Nah, it's just like fucking existing just to exist. That's it. There's not like experience. There's no experiencing anything. You're just existing. But then you're telling yourself, oh, I'm experiencing this great time, and I'm going out and doing Mexican ecstasy and dancing at a club with all these fucking fabulous people. But then I would get so fucked up, I'd do that for an hour and then go sleep in the car, pissed off that my wife didn't want to leave when I wanted to leave because I was more fucked up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't experiencing anything. I was just existing with experiences kind of bumping into them, and they're happening to me. I'm not like really feeling them, with the whole of my personality,
Yeah. And which brings us to today's letter, which we didn't talk about at the top of the show. But B is for better late than never. Right. And so do you ever look back in, like, with any regret for things? Do you ever find yourself? Maybe that's an obvious.
I just
laugh.
unfurl like a mile-long list. I'm just like, brrr.
CVS receipt.
Yes, a long-ass CVS receipt. I'm like, I should just put this on my notes on my phone. This could take up about a gig.
Right. Yeah. But do you ever find yourself sitting in those things of like, God, I wish I would have quit drinking sooner, or God, I wish I would have done this, or I wish you know.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, yeah. I try not to think about it like that too much, though, because it's not really positive. It won't do anything for me, but more along the lines of, more along the lines of, I think, man, if I would have quit at like 30 or 25 instead of 38, you know, like how much better my health would have been, or how much more I could have experienced with my daughter. But I don't know. I try my hardest every day to try to live in this moment now. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Instead of think about then. Because I cringe now most of the time. Or I laugh about it and I'm like, I was gross. Do you know what I mean? But usually I think about some of the shit I do when I'm alone and I just cringe really hard. Yeah. But I think it's wasted effort for me to be like, man, I should have quit in 2001. You know, like, man, I could have done
so much.
I could have, but you know,
it doesn't serve anything. It doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the world to lament my past. Right?
It's like a great playlist for the pity party. You know what I mean? Like, this is the best Spotify playlist ever for my pity party. Is this me being like, woulda, coulda, shoulda? Man,
speaking of which, did you get that link, that song I sent you, that Spotify song?
Yeah, I haven't played it yet.
It's
but
just
I got
a funky version of, like, it's a weird version of What a Fool Believes.
What a Fool Believes, yeah.
But it's not I don't know.
What a Fool Believes is already kind of funky on its own, dude.
Mm-hmm. And it's just the playlist for the pity party is so... It's just such a drag after a while, and the pity party is such a bummer. And I try again. I have those moments, and I sit in them, and I think, gosh, I really wish. So I go, well, what would you do now?
Right.
Imagine you are 25, and you do have those years ahead of you. How would you behave today?
Right.
And so
I probably wouldn't have gotten married. You know what I mean? Like all these other things would have changed. But anyway, exactly.
Just what positive steps can I take today? And I think about stuff the way that I have, the damage I have done to myself from my drinking. And I'll give you an example of, I've been going to the doctor lately and getting some MRIs on my back. And I had this pain in my spine, and it's been like, it's up in my ass, literally. Like there's a pain in my ass that shoots down to my feet. And
really?
So I got an MRI, and then they wanted to do one on my brain because of some hearing loss. So they did a second MRI, which I freaked the fuck out on, and I had to get out. Like, I don't
panic attack.
Yeah, have you ever been in an MRI machine?
No.
So the first one, they just slid me in there. I did the deep breathing. I just talked to myself. I counted my breaths. I was able to do it. I handled it. No big deal. The second one, which was on my head, they basically have to immobilize your head. So they put these kind of cushions on either side, and they put this sort of plastic helmet, but the guy called it a cage. They should really use a different word.
Right.
But like, so now I'm thinking my head's in a cage.
They should call it like a nest.
Yes,
or something.
Exactly.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I'm laying there, and I get about 20 minutes into it, and I start to imagine, and I'm like trying to breathe, and I'm like, you're fine, you're gonna get through this, it's no big deal. But then I started to feel my blood, like it felt like my blood was heating up, and I was remembering that scene in Django Unchained where they have him upside down with the fucking cage on his head. And I was and I pushed the button, and I'm like, hello, I'm done in here, you can take me out, I'm done. And
so did they not get the full MRI?
So they didn't get the full one. They got a partial one. So they're two separate issues. And the ENT doctor he called me and said, even with the partial one, I can see there's nothing wrong. You don't have to go back. Thank you very much. So that's great. With the lumbar one in my back, I have what is known as spinal stenitis, I think. Stenitis. So basically, the tissue in between a couple of my spinal bones, my backbones, has worn thin, and so the bones are now pinching on the nerve, which is where this pain is coming through. This is not supposed to happen to people well into their 60s. This is usually when this happens.
Yeah.
So I'm 42, I'll be 43
Right.
soon, but and I haven't had a full consultation with the doctor. I'm going to see a pain specialist tomorrow. And but my only thing that I can think of is that I carried all this weight for so long on my back.
Right.
That it
And you stood. Your majority of your job was standing,
and
dude.
I stood with all this weight for so many years. For 15 years, I stood overweight on these fucking 2 little spinal things or whatever, and finally wore that tissue down. And so
Right.
now, like, I accelerated the aging process of my spine by like 20 years. I could be, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but this is not a problem that people my age should have.
No. Damn.
So here I am, dealing with the consequences of my behavior from the act of alcoholism. Now, maybe the alcohol itself didn't affect my spine, but it certainly affected my eating habits. And so my
your choice in employment,
my choice of employment, being a bartender,
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%, you know, that was the easiest, fastest, bestest way for me to sleep in and drink all night. Eating like shit and eating late and eating too much and just being overweight. And I was thinking today, I was like, fuck, man, like this, or yesterday, like this really sucks. Like, what have I done? Like, I wish I would have done this sooner. Why didn't I know any better? Why didn't I know any better? And why can't I go back and like tell myself, like just even a year ago or 5 years ago, like, hey, like shit is going to get really bad and you're really going to hurt yourself and you're going to be in mild, steady pain every day and you won't be able to do these cool things that you want to do. But I wasn't ready to listen to any of that shit, you know?
Nah.
And so, like, I guess 38 is not a bad age to get sober.
Nah.
You know?
Nah.
Is that when you quit, or when did you quit?
I was 30. I think I was 38. Yeah.
38?
Yes, I was 38. Yeah, because I turned 39 like a month later.
So, I think that the best way is to, you know, think about today. Like, forget about, I can't do anything about it, but what can I do today? So now I'm guessing that either I can get like steroid injections every 6 months for the rest of my life, or I can like start doing some core work, start building that core, work on those abs.
Of course, it's not that hard. It's kind of fun. I do it 3 days a week. You know, it's part of my weightlifting routine, and it hurts, but it's like you start seeing it happen, and you're like, oh, cool. Maybe this will just be a swimming podcast.
Right?
And we'll both stop running. I'll start swimming if you start swimming. I mean, it's the same amount of cardio.
Yeah.
You don't even need to buy special shit. Maybe earproof fucking earbuds and then just shorts. That's all you need. Maybe some Crocs to wear around the pool so you don't get athlete's foot.
Yeah, I don't want any of that shit. I just.
I already had that shit, man. I lived in a.
They have those waterproof
I live
Beats
with
by
some
Dre.
motherfuckers.
We
Yeah,
can
there you go.
Get that playlist.
I don't
going
think
for the
swimming. I'd have to look it up. I've always been curious about, but yeah, as far as swimming, it affecting your spine or your back of your body, because I know that those repeated shocks from running probably don't help your back either.
Probably not. I think that.
But then but you feel so good though. I get it. You know, I ran yesterday. It kind of sucked, but I felt good afterwards. But while I was doing it, I was like, fuck. But I think I fucked my ankle up. I might have arthritis in it or something. I don't know. This is like an old man, everything hurts podcast.
Well, I think that there may be things that I can do if I can heal myself with, you know, physical therapy, exercise. I'm gonna start doing the Wim Hof like breathing exercises too, where he holds his breath. You know who this dude is? He's a Dutch guy.
No.
He's like the Iceman. This is the guy who like hiked Mount Everest barefoot in a fucking pair of board shorts and shit.
No, weirdo. That's rad. What a weird rad
He
guy.
injected himself with E. coli and then he like breathed his fucking immune system to fight it off.
Oh, bullshit. No way. I don't believe this. This sounds like some Reiki massage shit where they just like wave their hands over your stomach and they're like, the cancer is gone, and the cancer is never gone. They're waiting. I don't know.
I don't know.
Send me a link. I probably won't watch it, but send it anyway.
Send me a link. I won't watch it. But I have to be in that. I have to be grateful that I'm here now, because it could be a lot worse, right?
Yes. Yes.
I could still be fat and drunk and fucking tired all the time.
Right. It's this mindfulness thing, right? It's crazy as fuck. It all comes back to it, you know. My big thing, you know, when I do get into that pity party is my career. you know, as a tattooer for 20 years, and I was just like, I've like fucking drank it all away. You know, I spent almost all of it drinking, and I was like, I could have done so much more with it and been so much more forward thinking and had far more financially successful career. Do you know what I mean? Far more artistically, I could have been respected more. I mean, but now I look at it and I'm like, well, who fucking cares if anybody respects me anyway? I'm enjoying myself I'm kind of enjoying myself, you know? Mm-hmm. But like, those are things that when I was drinking, and I know those are things that when I was drinking, I would get super upset about and be like, I fucking drank it all away. And then I'd be like a broken record and cry and get super upset that I fucked my life up and then just keep drinking. And now sometimes my pity party still is like, man, I could have achieved so much more. I felt like I had so much more in me, but I fucking drank it all. And now I'm too old, you know? And I'm like, come on now, dude. You know, you may be too old to tattoo the way these young guys are tattooing, but you can still own what you do and the way you do it and enjoy it. And who cares, you know? But at the end of the day, like, am I really going to be on my deathbed in hospice or wherever being like, man, I should have been a better tattooer? Do you know what I mean? No, fuck that. I'm not going to say that shit.
No.
It's like I'm not going to lay in bed and be like, I should have been at work more, you know? Mm-hmm. No, man.
No, and I think you know on some level that people do appreciate and like the shit that you do.
I know they do, but my own worst critic is me. It's just that's the whole part of being like an artist is I will never be satisfied with what I make. There's always something that needs to be improved upon because the whole process of making art is improving constantly. So I'm always looking at something I've done, and I'm never. If I ever step away from a painting and go, "This is my masterpiece," I'm full of shit, and I'm trying to sell you a painting. Because I know in my head that it can be improved. Because the next painting I do is going to be that much better because I'm constantly improving. So same with tattooing, you know. But sometimes you rut because it's a job and you get paid for it. So you're not really pushing your boundaries very much, you know. You're just doing kind of the same thing over and over again.
That's why you just let your wife sell the painting. You know? You let her call it the masterpiece, so you don't have to say that shit.
Right? Yeah, but she's selling houses now. Maybe I don't know.
So when do you start hanging your stuff up in the prospective houses to sell?
Oh yeah, they'll love that shit. Yeah, here's a fucking portrait of Bukowski to sell you this. No, I don't really paint that much though either. So right now it's like
did you
everything
sell
I
that?
have is.
Did you sell that Bukowski one?
I traded it.
You traded it? Yeah.
Yeah, I traded it for a bunch of T-shirts, actually, for a guy who prints T-shirts. No, I'm not taking you for a walk, Fitbit. Fitbit's telling me to take it for a walk.
Is it time?
Podcaster right now. I'm only 30 minutes in. Yeah, I traded it for he works in a T-shirt company. He printed me out a bunch of T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
But like, I think the most recent painting I've done was maybe last year at some point, maybe a little one. I can't remember. I honestly can't. I don't know. There's no space to do it, and I can't afford renting a studio right now, so I just kind of work on tiny things or on the iPad.
I like the Mickey Mouse cactus series you were doing.
But I mean it's digital, so I'm like, what do I do with this thing? What do I do? Like, put it on the internet so someone can steal it? Like, I don't know what to do with it. It's so I just doodle. I don't know what to do with any of that. But that's a whole other podcast. I really don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because it's just me being like, man, I'll start painting again one day. Yeah, I'll start making art again. Because everybody else around me can't make art, so they're, like, super excited about it. Like, you should keep making art. And I'm like, nah, man, just leave me alone, all right? I'll make it when I feel like it.
I know.
When I feel like it.
Yeah. Well... So speaking of better late than never, I think I may have mentioned this or shared this story that a friend of mine this guy is in recovery. He's probably 65 or 67 or something like that. And he's got about the same amount of time as I do. He's maybe 4.5 or 4 years, something like that. And he was telling me a story about how he was at a rehab center or detox center. And he's sitting around in one of these group sessions, and it's with a bunch of younger kids who are in their 20s. And he's talking about how old he is at the time. He was 62 or 63, and he's getting sober. And, he's lamenting all the wasted time and how, his kids won't let him hang out with the grandkids anymore and all this, heavy shit, right? And one of the kids says to him, why are you quitting? You're already too old. What's the point? Why not just fucking drink the rest of your life? Right. And he says this and everybody laughs. And but he's one of these fucking like perma pink cloud motherfuckers. He's always happy. Like I've listened to his story a few times, and there's no insincerity about it. He always comes, and I don't think he owns all these cars, but he always comes. He always meets up in like a new or a different classic car. Like he's part of some classic car crew or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he does have multiple ones, but he's always stoked. He's always happy. And he's like, I can't imagine, I can't. He just doesn't even think about it. He says, this is what I have, and I'm so grateful for what I have, and I wouldn't change anything. Right. Because to say, oh, I should have quit when I was 50, or 40 or 30, like there's no point in it. And it's, again, I think that the one day at a time thing is really important to narrow it down to what you actually have, in front of you. Right. What I can control, or what I can experience. And I can't experience yesterday or the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. Somebody sent me a picture of me as a young man, and I'm going to send it to you, and I want you to tell me what you think. And
tell me what you think. So, and it's just a picture of your dick, and I'm like, yeah, thanks.
So
your Tinder tricks aren't going to work on me, buddy.
Tinder tricks. So it's a picture of me on the red leather couch. Do you remember that red leather couch that floated around?
The one that our friend Jenny had?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at you.
So what do you see? Well, how would you describe that?
I don't know. It looks like you own a store where you sell bazaar, where you sell strange items. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't look like you own it. It looks like you sweep up there.
Yeah, basically.
You're sitting on a red leather couch, which I've slept on, and you're holding a gallon of chocolate milk, and there's a leprechaun behind you taped to the wall, a Star Wars poster. 2 of the same Star Wars poster taped in a row. Whose home is this?
I'm not sure. It wasn't mine. I think it might have been Jenny's. I have no idea, but it must.
And a really cool. I like that jacket though. I've always liked that leather jacket.
That was my dad's leather jacket from the 70s. Yeah. That was some classic shit. But
how did you feel when you saw that picture? Because you were drinking.
I was drinking. I think that might have been.
You're definitely drinking chocolate milk.
I think that might have been an LSD night, but that never stopped me from drinking either. Being on LSD, no. I was never. Well, no, yeah. I was never on a mystical Lizard King kind of tour when I was doing LSD. It was always this like hard, bizarre. Let's see how weird we can get. And I think I remember going to a grocery store by myself and being in awe over the fruit, like all the different colors and the fluorescent lights. And I bought that gallon of chocolate milk thinking that I needed it for something. I think because there's some notion that if you're tripping too hard and if you drink milk, you'll feel better or it'll lessen it somehow.
I guess.
That was always like an old...
I was never into LSD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, right. Like it's a base or something. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it's a base and it'll like...
dissolve the acid, and you'll stop freaking out or whatever.
So I think that I thought that I had to get that. Now there was no vehicle involved, so I walked from that that Safeway on 18th in Eugene to wherever
College Safeway. Yeah,
I guess it wasn't that far, but it was like 3, 4, 5 blocks from my house with this gallon of chocolate milk, or to wherever this picture was taken. And I mean, I wish, like, I see that kid and I'm like, he's so young. And he's not bad, he's pretty, he's not overweight, but
not
yet, right? And so he's still young and excited and youthful, and I want to be like, man, you got so much potential going on there. But I don't think that he really did. I think that kid was still going through a lot of shit. And so the only way to deal with it was to like medicate. And there was nobody, I had nobody to talk to. I had no older person. I had no adult. I had no mentor,
Right.
I think that's a big thing, is that not having a mentor of any kind to kind of guide you or to say, hey, try this, not that, was huge. And so I can't say anything to that person. That kid is just fucking having the fucking time of his life, supposedly, with a gallon of chocolate milk on a red leather couch.
He's gone, dude. That's all in your rear view. Yeah.
And so I have to really be diligent about looking forward at like, what is 52 going to be like? I mean, do you ever
Right.
think about that? Do you ever think about like 10 years from now? People talk
I
about
do.
the decade, and like you'll
My
be
daughter
54.
will be graduating high school.
Yeah.
She'll be out of high school already. I think about it, but I just keep telling myself, just take care of yourself now, and I think you'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the physical aspect of it. Like, I never really think about work or money or creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of am experiencing this life. Like, literally, it's like the same fucking, it's like one day at a time. That sounds so weird, but it doesn't sound weird. It sounds like pretty much on the line we're at. But I don't even think like, oh, I've got a 5-year goal or whatever. And I've had them. I've got rough ones. Like, I'd like to buy a home in 5 years. But really, I mean, I don't know. I could be a guy in his 50s still renting. I don't give a shit as long as it's affordable. I don't want to I don't want to fucking die of a heart attack at 50. You know what I mean? Like, those are my fears. Or those sudden kind of things. Dumb, sudden, just stupid, dumb, sudden thing. Like, I can see them being like, hey, your prostate's super fucking big. You know, like in my 60s or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that makes sense. Or they're like, yo, you got a little bit of liver damage, you know, or lung damage or whatever. I just don't want the big rockin' lightning bolt thing. But if it happens, it happens. I don't, to try not to think about that shit because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, I mean, I can only speak from my own personal experience, and I have completely fucking reversed any liver damage I may have given myself.
Yeah, and I'm assuming I have too. I don't know.
You know, so I don't know. That's just what my doctor has told me, is that there's nothing I am, aside from this particular little damage with my nerve in my spine. Everything else is super healthy, and so yeah, like, and that one day at a time that's the only way we're gonna get there. And it's like, I can't fucking, again, running. Right. I can't run a marathon unless I take do the first mile. The first
part, yeah. And I know it's a cliche, and I know we throw it around the rooms, and I know even in recovery, guys like you and I throw it around in our lives. I try not to throw it around the civilians too much, because then they're just like,
one day at a time, man.
Right? And I don't want to call them normies, although in my brain I'm like, bunch of normies, but I'm like more like they're civilians. You know, I'm like. And I don't want to do that shit to them because they don't like it. They don't like a lot of shit I do sometimes. They're like, that's not funny. And I'm like, it's fucking hilarious, dude. Mm-hmm. But even when I was drinking and hanging around with people who didn't drink as heavily as I did, I joked about all that shit and they thought it was weird too. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
I thought it was.
But that being said, I know that's why you and I hung out. I'd be like, yeah, I'd shit myself on the way to work and just threw my underwear in a garbage can at work and then tattooed all day with no underwear on. And you would like laugh. We can laugh at that now in recovery because that's fucking, what the fuck is that? That's so stupid. Like, that's so.
And civilians are just horrified, right?
Yeah, they're like, well, you didn't go home and take the day off? And I'm like, no. I took the day off for way worse than that, but yeah.
Needed to make whiskey money, you know?
Need to make that Evan Williams money, dude.
So
whiskey ain't gonna buy itself.
It's cliched, but it's fucking true. It's the as Mishka Shubaly says, it's the cross stitch banal cross stitch sayings that they ring true, and
they're there for a reason.
They're there for a reason, and we repeatedly over and over. It's just what gets me through sometimes, where like, because I'm a very sensitive person and I get easily overwhelmed, and like maybe if I would have calmed down, or that was the other thing about the MRI, is they wanted to give me sedatives and Valium and fucking all number of things. They were like, yeah, I'll prescribe you whatever. Like, what do you need? What do you? She wasn't like, what do you?
You
like?
weren't gonna take the Valium. Oh, I guess. What do you like? What do you?
Yeah,
into?
She didn't say that, but that was basically what it was. She
got
had
Quaaludes.
They got all these
1972.
options. So I did.
And you were like, well, I don't know. You didn't feel comfortable with that. Like, if I had to get on a plane, I would definitely probably take a sedative. But I also know that I'd probably, as soon as I was done with them, I'd flush them all down the toilet.
Right.
Yeah.
But she gave me a prescription for, basically it's like the equivalent of a Benadryl, but it doesn't last as long. I guess it only lasts a few hours instead of 12 hours or whatever they're supposed to. But I didn't want to take them. I didn't even want to take those because I guess, well, I drove there myself and I was going to drive back and I didn't see any.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to be taking sedatives at 8 o'clock in the morning and then fucking have to drive home afterwards, you know?
You're like, what is this, 2003?
Exactly. So I've amassed a nice little collection of pills now. I've got these sedatives. I think I've got some sort of painkillers in my cupboard. And so I mean, I have no intention of using them, and I don't fuck with them. They've been there forever, the painkillers.
Yeah, same here. I probably wouldn't flush them down the toilet. I just put them in a cabinet and forget about them.
Yeah, but I don't want to do those things anymore. I don't want to fuck with it. But my point is one breath at a time, whatever it takes to get through a situation. If I ever felt like I had to take another MRI on my head, I would probably take something. But it's just that moment of like, okay, just take it easy, slow down. It's just today. And again, I go, is everything all right? Do you have food, shelter? Like all the basic shit is covered, right?
I know. I always laugh because it is all the basic shit. But then you can't. It's really hard to deal with the shit in your head, though. It always has been for me.
Yes.
It's been. So I can even take all that shit for granted in the moment and understand that I'm comfortable and happy and well fed and my bills are paid and my daughter's healthy, my wife is healthy. But still, I just am a fucking failure. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just a fucking fraud and a failure, and what are you even doing here? And your time could be better spent doing other things, or you gonna fall asleep tonight, Jerry? That's the big one right now. You gonna fall asleep tonight, Jerry? You're just gonna roll around. You're gonna have to watch Bob's Burgers, all 3 seasons, playing on the TV while you try to sleep on the couch again? Maybe.
Maybe
not. I hope not, but if it happens, that's all right. I gotta go to the doctor tomorrow, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got my... I was going to call it a touch-up, but there's no touch-up there. Tune-up? I don't know.
Tune-up. Check-up. Physical.
Check-up. Physical, yeah.
A touch-up is what you do at work. Okay. Yeah. A physical and a flu shot?
I'm getting a flu shot, and they're going to weigh me, and I'm going to talk to her about some stuff. And be like, why does my ankle hurt? When can I get snipped? What are we going to do here? It's like the third podcast in a row I've talked about a vasectomy, but yeah. I'm like, what are we going to... What's up? Let's make this happen, you and me.
You and me.
You and me, lady. Let's talk the logistics.
V for vasectomy.
V for vasectomy. You know I'm serious because I'm in here smoking a cigar.
Well, that's good. That's good. I think that's definitely forward thinking that you're actually giving a shit to go to the doctor. I mean, I don't think that I wouldn't set foot near a hospital or in a hospital when I was drinking unless it was an emergency.
No, because you knew everything was broken and they were going to be like, by the way, your entire body's made out of fucking cirrhosis. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was afraid of. I was literally afraid I walked through the door and they're like I would just die as soon as I stepped over the threshold because my body was just waiting. Like a Rube Goldberg fucking mechanism just barely held together. You know what I mean? And one marble falls and the whole thing just collapses while the marble hits the pig in the ass and shit on the way down. So, yeah, fuck that shit. And now I go and I'm like, yo, my blood pressure's dope, huh? You know, like, I'm stoked, you know?
Well, you come up with this, you want the information so that you can solve the problem.
Absolutely.
If your ankle hurt while you were drinking, you would just drink more.
Yeah.
Maybe score some painkillers from somebody somewhere at some point.
Coda.
Score some painkillers from him and wherever he got it, whatever strange fucking friends he
bowling
would have.
alley, right?
Yeah, there was always some strange
He's
bowling
like, hey, I got
people.
all these muscle relaxers from the bowling alley. You want one? I'm like, yeah.
So it's just now you go, my ankle hurts. What do I need to do? Like, can we get it fucking something that I can do something, or is there,
why would I have this localized pain or whatever, you know, that just come, because it didn't come right after running anyway. It showed up later on in the evening, so I'm like, oh, maybe I injured something and it was a delayed reaction. I don't know.
But just that we become much more interested in solving the problems that come in front of us rather than running away from them.
Well, because they become solvable. They become manageable. Do you know what I mean? Like, before they always say, oh, your life was unmanageable. Yeah, I mean, so today this month is January. It's the first month of the year. So I would like the meetings I've been going to have been step 1 meetings, the powerlessness, powerlessness and life being unmanageable, and that you're powerless over this thing. This thing has power over you. And that your life is unmanageable. I keep repeating that over and over again. But that's the whole thing, right? Better late than never. Like, we all have to hit a spot where we decide that this is not working. This isn't working. This just doesn't work the way it's working. So I can keep doing it this way and be miserable all the time, or I can be miserable for a shorter period of time and actually start feeling better eventually.
Eventually, yeah, and
Eventually.
there's no guarantee that I quit drink. There was no guarantee that if I quit drinking, I was going to feel better, or that
your life was even going to get better. There's no guarantee, but there's no guarantee for anything. Though that's the great philosophical debate, right? The only thing you're really guaranteed is that you die.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do with that time before then, or what's your attitude? Because life can take a giant shit on you, and so then how do you react to all that or deal with it? I look at it like I got, like, even the concept of better late than never, like I got to where I needed to get right when I needed to get there. I honestly do, and it's not about destiny or any of that shit. This is just I needed to stop drinking on July 4th, 2014. That needed to be my first day sober, was the 4th of July for some reason. I just needed to be there in that moment. And just, okay, I'm done. This is too hard. I can't do this anymore. So let's try something else for a little while. And now I'm sitting here talking to you, fucking, 5.5 years later. So, and this little while is working, right? So far it's working. And I get worried about it. We all get worried about it. I know you get worried about it. Sometimes you're like, dang, am I doing this right? Because I do that all the time. I'm like, am I doing this correct? I feel kind of crazy. I'm probably not doing this right now. I need to figure out why.
All the time.
And what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. I feel like I'm doing all this shit wrong constantly. I feel like I'm doing not to fucking blow up that 11th step or whatever, or 11th tradition, but like I feel like I'm doing AA wrong constantly. Like I'm always like, I'm not doing this shit right. I'm not sharing right. Nobody thinks I'm funny. Nobody wants to hear my boring shit. I repeat the same thing 10 times in a row. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, never got onto my 5th step. Fucking don't have a sponsor right now. I'm just like doing this all wrong. But am I though? Because like my wife's happy and my daughter's happy and I'm mostly happy. I don't have to be happy all the time, but everybody's satisfied. You know what I mean? Like I'm reliable and I'm dependable and I feel good.
Like
I feel okay.
Yeah,
and that's great. I love feeling okay. So
I feel like as alcoholics, well, and I'll speak for myself, and I think that I if I'm hearing you correctly, there's a level of endurance that we have, right? So you drank for all those years, and you were pretty fucking tough to like deal with every single one of those hangovers and unpaid bills and failed, relationships and shitty days at jobs and all that stuff. Like, and for me, constantly always hung over and hating life and trying to get through every single hour of every single day, and until finally I was just broken. And so I think I have no intention of giving up on recovery or any of my personal brand of recovery or whatever steps that I'm working on or the things that I'm trying to fix. But I think at a certain point, even in recovery for me, on a certain step, at a certain level, life is going to become unmanageable until I finish that thing. There's going to become a point where I'm going to like, fuck it, I'm so fucking done with this. Let's just do it and get it over with. And then what am I going to say to myself? Why did you wait so long? Why didn't you do this sooner? Why didn't you, and that's not going to be helpful because I got there when I was supposed to get there. So
and this is very interesting though, because this ties into earlier. You're like, it's almost like you double back to the concept of the dry drunk and not working a program or not doing the step or the thing you need to do to make yourself feel better. So it's almost like your stasis, once again, unmanageable. That's the language I hear. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that we have to learn it. I have to learn it in my own way and in my own time. And
correct.
I can't fucking speed it up. I can't. And so there's a bit of relief in that acceptance of if I'm feeling bad about not doing it right, or I feel like I'm a fraud, or I feel like I'm a failure, and I have to I go, okay, well, wait a second. This is how you did it before. You weren't ready until you were ready. And I can't tell somebody else, oh, you should be ready, or you know what you really need. You need this now, when they haven't figured it out. And I keep, and one of my things is like I'm always looking for help externally for things, and I think it's important to find support. But all this shit, it's got to be learned on your own. There's no secret recipe or magic bullet or anything except
and it's all personalized towards each individual person, and so that's what sometimes I have that doubt, because I'm comparing my fucking yard to someone else's yard when I'm like, I'll come to this when I need to come to it, you know? And maybe I'll never come to it. Maybe I'll just live in this stasis and I'll be all right with it. Because like I said, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to kill myself. I'm doing great. You know, and I know that's like that's a low-hanging ass fruit. Yeah, it's a pretty low bar. But other than that, like, I have, you know, hope and positivity, and like, I feel hopeful about things, you know? And I never felt hopeful. I mean, what was the joke? It was always like, hey, Jerry, how's life? And I was always like, taking too long.
Taking forever.
Taking forever. Right? I was like this, like, 28-year-old curmudgeon. People knew me as, like, even in my 30s, they're like, you're the oldest, youngest person I've ever, you're the oldest young person I've ever met. And that was like a part of my personality. And now I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I accept things now, and I'm like open to things, and I listen to things, you know, and unless they're like diametrically opposed to me, then I'm like, fuck you, I don't want to hear you anymore. But you know, even those things, I kind of crack my mind a little to try to understand them, you know?
Well,
it's an interesting process, man.
Speaking of things you're diametrically opposed to, and ideas that you don't agree with and stuff like that, I was having a conversation with somebody this afternoon, and he was talking about, it was more about the relationships between men and women today, and how there was like, you know, men going their own way and women going their own way, and it was all this talk about promiscuity and how men perceive women and women perceive men and how they're always at odds and all this different stuff. And it was kind of, he was getting a little excited about it, and sort of, and I was like, so hang on a second. There's two things I want to say, is that one, I'm more interested in having a discussion based on experiences rather than your theories based on feelings, because especially from YouTube videos of people you don't know. And two,
do too.
And two, what I'm hearing you describe from these other people who are having issues is, I hear people who are angry, who are resentful, who are irritated, frustrated, and who are projecting their feelings onto other people. And there's this lack of responsibility, personal responsibility, that comes with the program that you and I work, and that extra column that I was told to put, and I think you were too, like, and what was your part in this?
What was your part in it? Yeah.
So even if I'm having a discussion with somebody who I don't agree with, what is my part in it? I'm choosing to be a part of the discussion. So maybe I should say goodbye and move on, or whatever. So I think that there tends to be, and I don't want to generalize, but when I hear people who are against things, when I hear people who are angry, when I hear people who are resentful, I find that a lot of it stems from some lack of responsibility for their part in that anger or resentment. At least that's been my experience in my life.
Right. I was going to say, that's going to be a really fun episode of Gluten Is Not Your Problem.
Talking about...
You and Walter talking about men's rights. I was trying to be funny, and then you're like, and I'm like, oh, shit.
And it wasn't... I
was like, speaking of people I fundamentally disagree with on things.
On time
listen
travel.
To the next Gluten Is Not Your Problem. Oh, I love Walter. He's one of my favorite foils.
Can we get you on...
He's one of my favorite
Can
foils.
we get you on the podcast sometime?
Well, no, because you're going to set it up now like an Evander Holyfield fight night, and I'm going to have to go... majority of my relationship with him was not arguing. They were just... No. When we argued, we like really argued. But it seemed to like color the rest of our interactions for a long time, But I feel like 90% of our friendship was like, we fucking had a really good time together. And there was a percentage of it that was drinking. And there was because we drank together a lot, he and I. And there was a big percentage of it that was just, we had common things. And then there was that little percentage where we fought, but it was so loud constantly that, yeah. But yeah, you can have me on, sure.
All right,
I'll be like, Walter, stop watching those YouTube videos. That shit's silly. Come on now.
So
it's not even him. I don't even think it's him.
It's not him, but I think he's got some interesting ideas too. I
know he does.
Yeah, I can already hear you being a little wound
ice cream is frozen soup. I'm like, shut up! It's just fucking ice cream.
But do you know what I mean about just that that column of like, what is my part in this?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That one thing has helped me. It's helped me more than anything else.
Yes. Me too. I see a lot of these people too, and I know that they feel less than. and they feel hurt and they feel like demoralized and minimized, and so they need to find their power, and their power comes through anger, because I need to find my power, and my power always comes through anger. You know what I mean? I just see myself in them, so I'm like, damn. But that being said, I don't want to fucking hang out with people like that too much because they make me feel bad. So I'm like, I ain't fucking with you today. But but yeah, what is your part in this? You know, like, oh yeah, women, your relationship's all fucking. Maybe you don't know how to talk to people of the opposite sex, or maybe you don't know how to relate to them, or maybe you're being closed-minded as what their experience is as a human being in this world, or whatever. I don't know. I ain't the wokest guy here. That's for sure. I have no idea. Someone called me a boomer the other day.
How'd that make you feel?
Shitty. Yeah. Really shitty. Yeah, because she was getting a Lady Gaga quote tattooed on her, and I was making fun of Lady Gaga saying it was pop music, and I didn't like it. And she's like, okay, boomer. I thought you were woke. And I was like, Jesus. I'm going to add 10 extra bucks to your fucking tattoo.
Boomer tax.
Boomer tax, 20 extra bucks now. Bam, I need that hard candy and to hoard away all my classic cars.
Right?
Yeah, I don't have any classic cars. Well, like, come on now. I'm broker than you, motherfucker.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't want to talk about generational wealth gap or anything like that.
But there's tons of it. Yeah. Welcome to recovery. But yeah.
So, again, I all I can say is that every single resentment, frustration, anger, bad feeling that I have had that has caused me to drink, or that I have had to repair, fix, or to be introspective about, that has helped me to be better in recovery, has come to figuring out what my part in the resentment is.
Yeah,
because without
that's been helpful for you.
Yeah, just it's been helpful for me. That would be the thing that I would say on that.
I need to do a little bit more of that. I'm being totally frank. I'm not even joking. Although it sounds kind of funny because I'm like, I need to do a little, but I absolutely do. Because there are aspects of my life where I find myself holding big resentments, especially lately, and I'm like, damn, Jerry, you need to really work on your end of it, because people or places or things aren't going to change. You need to change the way you deal with those people, places, and things. Yeah, because it's just going to be the way it is. There's nothing I can do to stop it.
It's true.
Word.
I heard a quote, or I saw a quote that said, you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Get it?
No.
You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you.
Oh, like you can't change their minds, but you can ghost them and be like, eat a dick, I'm out. Yeah.
Yes, that's what you
Right, yeah. I know when...
That's Jerry Wagner on Snapchat. Eat a dick, I'm out.
Eat a dick, I'm out. Deuces, TikTok.
Right? Have you checked out my TikTok yet?
No, I don't want to go to jail.
You're not going to jail.
Too many children, dude.
I don't know. I don't interact with children.
I'll go on Olive's TikTok. I'll look at it. I'll find it. I know you've been posting more of it on Instagram, and I'm like, you're gonna go to fucking jail, dude. You're not even doing anything inappropriate. I'm just saying, there's way too many kids. I feel like I'm gonna hit somebody with something by accident. So I'm like,
No. It's anyhow. But yeah, man, I think it's a valuable tool going and I'm just fucking.
Are you talking about 4-step or TikTok?
4-step. Maybe you need a 4-step about the TikTok. I don't know.
But... It's a TikTok video where I dance and do the step.
You do the 4-step fucking lip sync or something.
But with one of those weird dances that all the teenage girls are doing now, where it looks like you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, I just personal responsibility, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I again, I have to be grateful that I'm here now, and like I fucking be as healthy as I can be, and I'm only 42 years old.
Yeah, you are only 42 years old, and you're killing
42.
it.
Thank God.
Think about it this way: most 42-year-olds aren't in as great a health as you are.
That's crazy to me.
90%. I don't know if it's 90%, but like I look at other people my age, and I'm like. And I'm not trying to judge them. I'm just like, I know that they're not feeling good right now, and that sucks. Yeah. And I try to help anybody who hits me up about it. I tell them what worked for me, just like with the program. Yeah. And weight loss can be yours. Just listen to our podcast and donate to our Patreon.
Right. Subscribe to the Jerry Wagner method. $29.99 a month. 9 Doritos.
9 Doritos a day. That's all you're allowed. 9 Doritos. 1 orange with salt on it. And 9 Doritos.
Ew, an orange with salt? Is that what you're eating?
Yeah, delicious.
Is it
I
good?
eat it for a snack. Yeah, orange with salt and chili powder. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a little Latino kind of Mexican thing I grew up with.
Well, with the what's the tahini?
Yeah, tahini and a little bit of salt on an
Okay.
orange. It's actually kind of trips me out because that citrus and salt together sometimes when I eat it, I get like flashbacks of taking shots of tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because of that salt and citrus together. Not major flashbacks where I run out and buy a bottle of Don Julio or anything or whatever. Barbarossa. No, that was rum. I'm good. I'm all right.
Yeah, you're good.
I was trying to think of cheap tequila and I couldn't think of one.
We used to get
They're
this.
all gross.
We used to get. I think it was like Pancho Villa or something like that, or Pancho Viejo, and it was. I remember going to the whiskey bar in downtown Seattle, and this is, I don't know if this is going to trigger anybody, but we used to go there at noon on Sunday because they had dollar shots and dollar beers. And I don't know what the tequila was, but we would do shots of tequila thinking it was the best quality of the dollar shots that we could do.
No, it's usually just grain alcohol with a little tequila flavoring in it. It's literally vodka with tequila flavoring. And then the beer is just coming through a moldy tap line. Just
I'm pretty sure I need to make an amends to some bartenders too, come to think of it, for my behavior over the years, but I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to do that.
absolutely. We both do.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll do it through the podcast and call it good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Anyhow,
you gotta go.
I have to
gotta
feed
go.
my family. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you chatting with me today, and
Yeah,
always, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful that we get to be here and be this young and healthy. Right?
Exactly. And you know what? Next week, everybody will get some Fallout 76 updates from me.
All right.
No, not at all. But okay.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.